What's up, y'all, man? Welcome to the Purposeful Grind Podcast, Season 2, Episode 2. I'm super excited about my guest today, man. My brother from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. I got my man Kyle Sample here. Kyle Sample is a newly appointed athletic director at Cristo High School. Kyle, what's up, man? Appreciate you coming on tonight with me.
JC, I appreciate you having me, man. Appreciate you having me.
Man, I've been a fan of yours from afar for so long, bro, and getting the chance to connect this summer, really excited about that, man. You know, you one of the best out here, man. I love watching your work, but we'll get into that, man. So, with further ado, man, let's jump into the grind, man. So, Kyle, talk to us a little bit about your upbringing out here in Philadelphia, and how you pretty much started your journey and path to becoming one of the best player development coaches in the area.
Right. I mean, I grew up born and raised in Philadelphia, North Philadelphia specifically.
Okay.
Born at Temple Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up down the street from Temple Hospital. Living in that neighborhood, and I always feel like North Philadelphia probably got some of the richest tradition in basketball in the city. I'll probably get a couple arguments on that one, but that's my section. That's my area.
You hold it dear to the heart, dog. It's all
absolutely.
Good, you from North Philly. It's all gravy, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, but no, I mean, even from like the bigger stars in North Philly, appreciate it, son.
Mm-hmm.
You get those guys that are like, not maybe as bigger names as some of the other guys that played in North Philly, but in my neighborhood, man, I had like some great athletes that I kind of looked up to growing up on my block, around the corner from my house. Shooting on the court down the street, you know what I mean? So
right.
I can kind of come outside on my steps and kind of get a view of, the culture in sports. Guys like Eric Mickens from Mass Bomb, Hamiter, who was like a two-sport star, played with the Eagles and the Saints a year, but also was a basketball player in high school at Dell State as well. And then Rondell Turner, man, it was like, man, listen, when growing up for me, like just hearing the stories about Rondell Turner and how like my neighborhood like embraced him, it kind of like, made me excited about the game, getting into it from that. And then as I got older and got a license and could drive and go to games, and I was one of them kids that just spent my downtime watching basketball, man. 16th Street, Hank Gathers, 33rd Street, man, anywhere, like hole in the wall parks, like 15th and Clearfield, Whittier Playground, like before MMBL, like I just, if I had my uncle who was going to a game, whether it was a public league game at the convention center or a public league game at the Leo Core Center, I wanted to go. Like that's why I wanted to, fell in love with it and wanted to kind of see it from an up close personal viewpoint. But yeah, man, like that's how I got started. For my uncle, the older heads in my neighborhood, man, they kind of like introduced
the OGs, the old heads, the OGs brought you to the game, man, and I love that about. Philadelphia's got a rich history of basketball, but it's also got rich history in other sports. I know you're a football guy, man. I found out I had to do my do my research on Big Samp here, man. I understand that you went to college. That was your main goal, was to go play some football at Elizabeth City State?
Elizabeth City, Elizabeth City State University.
Okay, all right. Where's that at, man?
It's it's actually in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, like right outside the Outer Banks of Virginia, like beginning of North Carolina, like 2-3 hours away from Raleigh, like 5 hours from Charlotte. But football was my first love, man. It was like, for me, that was the first sport we was introduced to. In Philly, you ain't got too many parks. Like you lucky if you got a neighborhood with a playground, or just like a court, with a net. Like so. Every block in North Philadelphia had a football field. It was the street right in front. Like we ain't had no goalposts, but we had the wires. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like we might have got to figure it out. So like I learned how to play catch. I actually had a big cousin that played football in high school and little league, and he kind of introduced it. He begged my mom to let me play. Honestly, like I was just one of them kids that wanted to play 1, 2, 3 hole, but he was like, no, he might be all right. He got some skill. Let's see if we can get him out there, see if he's afraid of that contact.
Right.
And, I started off with like the Alany Eagles football organization.
Okay.
Never been to Alany before as a kid, 6, 7 years old. I'm just like, what's this? And they took me out there, gave me some equipment, and from there it was on, man. I played from the age of like 5, 6 all the way up to the age of 19, 20.
Yeah. Wow, bro.
Yeah, man.
He's a real football player. Again, I didn't know all this about you, bro. You know, all I knew you was about Kyle Sample, the hooper. You know what I mean? I didn't know all about the football life, you know, and all that kind of stuff that you got going on, bro. I love to hear that type of stuff, man. You know, myself, you know, I loved baseball growing up out in California, man. That's what we all grew up playing, you know. So it's unfortunate that not enough brothers play baseball anymore because we love hoop, man. You know what I'm saying? We all love hoop, but
my mom wouldn't even let me play baseball, man. We just had like a T-ball team. All my friends from football played. I'm like, man, let me play. She just like, no, I ain't comfortable with that ball getting thrown at you. And I'm like, T-ball, like, come on, man.
He's comfortable getting hit, but not that ball getting thrown at you.
Yeah, it ain't make now that I think back, man, I gotta have a conversation with my mom on that, man. That ain't make too much sense. But that ain't make too much sense. But no, she kept me away from it. My dad, who grew up in Atlantic City, and I would spend my summers and holidays with him early on as a young kid. I would go to, you know, he would coach a youth baseball team, and I would like be like the bad boy. You know, he taught me technique, how to choke up, how to hold the bat, how to throw a baseball, how to catch one. So I fell in love, or I was starting to develop like, you know, like an interest in baseball. My mom shut it down, man.
Shut it down, huh?
Yeah, from there, man, I never really revisited that, man. I felt like I missed my opportunity.
All right. Well, jumping out of Elizabeth City State, man, you know, I hear you went to Westchester. You left Elizabeth City State and then went on to go. Was you going to school at Westchester, or did you go there to play football?
Well, I went to Elizabeth City and redshirted my first year. Got a chance to kind of get on the field, spring ball, figure out, see how it was. And, you know, it was cool, man. But at that point, man, like I was just like, man, I had played it for so long, man. I'm like, man, I ain't about to be no NFL player. Like, ain't no overseas in football. I ain't going to Canada. Like, that ain't.
You ain't going to the CFL, dog? You didn't want to go to the CFL,
I wasn't doing all that. So for me, it was like that first year. That first year, man, it showed me so much. Like, man, it's serious. Like, you know, I don't know if I love it the same way to be able to keep going. But you know, it was a conversation I had with one of my teachers at Elizabeth City. I was a computer science major, and he was just like, yo, like, I heard you killing it academically. Your grades are strong. He's like, but you're a computer science major and you got nothing but F's. And I'm just like, man, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Like, I ain't had no clue. I really didn't have a clue. I heard it made a lot of money coming out of college, and I was, you know, we come from. That's the end all be all, is trying to get some money. So that's why I did it. And he kind of talked me out of it. And he was just like, man, you're going to pick a job based off money, you're going to wake up and be miserable the rest of your life, man. Like, try to find something something you in love with, and you won't never work a day in your life. And I literally got up from his office and walked straight to the admissions department and put my transfer papers in. And from there, I just started looking into, like, it was the first time I picked, it was more so sports related. And at this point, I took a step back and just kind of figured out academically where was the best place for me to go, location-wise for me, what I wanted to do. And I had started interning with Kalo. Back then, we was called Philly MJC. And Westchester had the perfect major for me, man. They had a double minor. I ain't had to take a bunch of languages, a bunch of maths. And they had an athletic coaching major, a minor, in kinesiology and nutrition. So I was like, you know what? This health science program might have my name on it. I actually got recruited by Westchester out of high school to play football. And at that point, when I transferred over, the coach reached out to me like, yo, you still interested? And I was just like, nah,
I'm good.
Like, all right.
I'm good.
I ain't want to be one of them dudes trying to, like, you know, survive off a refund check. Man, I wanted to get a job. I wanted to coach. I wanted time off. I wanted to focus on my academics. And, you know, I felt like football wasn't going to allow that. So coaching became my sport right away when I got to Westchester.
Man, that's huge, man. I mean, not a lot of kids right now, you know, in college, you know, understand what they want, what their path is and what they want to go. All we think about is, I need to play this sport to get to this next entity of my life, you know, and that's tough that you recognize that, hey, look, you know, the NFL's not calling my name. Like you say, you don't want to go to the CFL. You know, you want to persevere and get in something in academics, man. And that takes a lot of guts, man. You know, you know where you from and where I'm from. You know, a lot of people don't get to college, don't take time to really focus on college. They're trying to see the bigger picture and they're trying to get that cash quick, man. And you know, college ain't like that, man. But you know, so yeah, Westchester. I heard you talk about you interned at Kalo. Talk about Kalo a little bit. How did you get involved with the Kalos Foundation. First, talk about who Kalo is. So, they should already know by the name by now, but just in case, I got listeners who want to listen, man. Talk about, Kyle Lowry and how you got into his AAU organization.
Man, listen, it's crazy because we played against each other in youth sports years, man, and I always watched him from afar. We wasn't like growing up when we were like teenagers. We weren't friends. We didn't know each other.
Right.
He lived in one part of North Philly. I lived in another part of North Philly. And at that age, like it seemed like two different worlds. That might seem like a long car ride. But it's really 5 minutes away.
Just to stop you on that, and I'm gonna pause on that, man. We're gonna pause on that thought. People who've never been to Philadelphia don't know how big this city is.
Yo, they have no idea.
This city is huge, man. This city, North Philly, West Philly, South Philly, Northeast Philly. It's like Jesus is everywhere, man. It's ridiculous how big this place is, man.
I was just telling somebody the other day, like Southwest is like Jersey for me. Like I grew up in North. If I ain't got a destination to go to in Southwest Philadelphia, if it ain't the airport, I'm not going. I'm just not going.
It's facts,
out the way. It's out the way. Yeah. But yeah, man, like he actually he transferred into Doherty, man. Like and Cardinal Doherty Catholic School is closed now, but we were, one of the strongest basketball programs back then. But he transferred in his 11th after his 10th grade year. So going into 11th grade, I was a year behind him. So I'm that young kid going to Doherty thinking like, oh yeah, I got a senior here while I'm a sophomore. I'm a freshman. As soon as he leaves, I'm starting. Like, I'm about to get a shot. And they're like, yeah, Kyle Lowry transferring here. And I'm like, damn, like, just like that. Like, it's just, and, it was a blessing in disguise, man, but because we became close as far as, like, just riding to school together. Like, we were some of the only kids coming from North Philly, so we put the train together every day. And we started driving. He might, like, yo, I'm going to come pick you up. So you ain't got to get on the train today. It's a little cold. It was just love. It was like, kind of like he was only a year older than me, but athletically he was so much more advanced and, just doing things that I just wasn't familiar with. Like he was a damn near All-American at that point, one of the best guards in the country. And you don't realize it playing with him every day.
Right.
Like everybody know him now, and that's Kalo. We called him G's. You know what I mean? Like that's still what we call him, like Kyle G's. And, my name Kyle too. So it was like, we had to come up with nicknames. It was Jesus and it was Saint. You know what I mean? Right. So we wouldn't get confused. He would try to sum me and be like, no, that's little Kyle and I'm big Kyle. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
Man, we go there.
We ain't doing that. So, that's just that tough, competitive North Philly spirit. But that was the person I had to guard every day, man, in practice. Man, he made me better. He made me better, crazy. Man. Like, strong, quick, explosive, like, same way he played now he was even worse back then. He was reckless, like just throwing his body around, man.
I remember watching his freshman year at Villanova. I just, obviously I moved out here in 2003, so I've seen a lot of guards, and he basically came right after playing. We played with I want to say with Randy Foy and them guys, right?
A-Ray, yep.
A-Ray, I mean, so that was a huge Villanova. That's basically what started Jay Wright on his map, pretty much.
Yep.
And getting all these guys, Reggie and Malik, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But just watching his game and seeing how it is now, it's crazy how it's progressed, and you having to deal with that guy every day in high school, man. Hey, bro.
Our coach, man. He would leave us on that island, man, and I would be looking around like, where the help at?
Yeah.
And
help side help, weak side help. Where you all at?
Yeah, man? Like I need weak side and strong side help. Like come get, like, come on,
help out.
But literally, like he would see me just like starting to fall in love with the grind a little bit more. I would kind of practice. He would be there already drenched an hour before in the morning. Right. So I would start coming earlier, knowing the gym was open now, and get up shots. I would watch what they did with our coaches. I'm a young pup, they getting all the attention, and I would do it on my own. So he saw like how much more committed I was as the seasons went along, and as I got older, and he was just like, yo, you should go try out for my brother AAU team. Okay. And at this point, Lonnie hated my game at this point. Like, anybody know Lonnie, Kyle, brother, man, like he's just one of the toughest basketball critics. Like you can't do a little bit of everything. If you don't know how to make the right basketball play, you don't play hard. He's like, you trash. Like, so like, his brother he's his brother's biggest fan. So I'm like, man, I don't want to go play for him, man. Like, I ain't really trying to go down that route. But he was like, no, just go try it out. And I went and tried out, and I fell in love with it, man. I was just like, man, this is a good bump, like good competition. I met players from all over the place.
Right.
And from there, I played.
So this was still during in high school then?
This is me, 11th grade, going into my senior year.
So after he had graduated, so he asked you to go on.
He was on his way going to Nova. So he had started going to Nova in June, probably like 5 days before he even graduated high school. So
yeah, it's crazy how that shit is now.
Crazy, bro. Like we would be literally like sitting in the living room on 20th and Lehigh in his crib, sleep, about to go to an AAU tournament. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm about to go up school." So it was just like, him leaving high school and me kind of going through that AAU phase. And I fell in love with it, man, just to travel, man, like going everywhere, getting out of North Philly every weekend, free kicks, nice hotels. Like, it's just AAU, man, it's an eye-opener for kids that never, had the opportunity of traveling when you was a kid and with your family and stuff like that. So from there, after my last year of playing, Lonnie just kind of like, our relationship grew tighter and tighter. And he was like, yo, why don't you come be my intern? And right before I went to college, I started interning with Lonnie and just helping out, counting sneaks, breaking down uniforms, washing uniforms, dropping kids off. He ain't had no license. I would have to drive him around, like just doing stuff that, nowadays kids might be like, I ain't doing all that. But
it's the grind.
Like, it's like, man, this dude connected, man. I'm going to lock in. So that's kind of how I got into it. And from there, that next year, going into college, I started coaching. So, that was the layout.
I tell people like that, man, that's like being a video coordinator in the league. You got to start someplace else. You got to start at the bottom and then you got to work your way up. And, and that's what you basically did. You was basically that intern, and intern is basically what it sounds like. You intern, you ain't making no money, but you working all them damn hours, man, and putting that grind in, man. And I respect people like that, man. So
Spoke one of my favorite coaches, man. He started in that brand.
Hey, I did it too, man. I was a video coordinator with the Orlando Magic, man. I was fortunate enough to do that and see the grind. And like I tell people all the time, we had to do it tape to tape, tape VHS to VHS. We didn't have no DVDs. It just started that stuff, when I was doing it. So I was up at nighttime, man, pressing pause, watching these West Coast games at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Pause, unpause, pause, unpause. Had to cut that stuff up, man. Stuff was wild, bro. Wild, man. It was a different time back then, bro. I'm showing my age.
Can't even imagine that, man, with a VHS tape, man. That's
VHS
crazy.
Tape was crazy. And Doc all those coaches wanted those tapes, man, right away, fam. So it was cool, man. But all right, so you got out of Kalo, man. What was your next? So obviously you stayed with Kalo's organization for a long time. So you worked your way from intern to coaching.
Man, after my first summer as an intern, I went straight into coaching. Next year, he gave me my own team. He started me with like 8th, 9th graders. And, kind of let me make my mistakes and roll with the punches and teach me as we go on. I feel like that's the best way of learning. There's no like textbook of coaching. You know what I mean? There's no nothing you can read to learn how to,
you gotta jump in. You gotta jump in and get the feel for the game, man. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, but you gotta learn from every opportunity you in there. And that's great.
I remember my first game coaching Reggie in the 11th grade.
Okay, 11th grade.
And Lonnie, at this point, we had 3 teams. He was the only coach.
Right.
So he literally would house the tournament. Like, look, I need my game set up at this time. So for this one game, it might have been like a Final Four, and he just couldn't do it. So he like, look, start the game. I'll be there like 20 minutes late. Reg and them was super good. You ain't really had to coach that team. So I'm like 20. Reg is like damn near my best friend. So like we like a year apart, and I'm standing there trying to like get them to listen to me, and they not paying me no mind. So, I look up, man, we was down 18-0, and I'm like, God damn, Lonnie gonna kill me. He gonna kill me. And I guess somebody called him like, man, y'all getting mocked right now. Like, what's going on? And he literally called Jimmy Simons and was like, yo, stop the game right now. Like, and don't let that ball go back in until I walk in. So they might have, I think they gave us a tech for every minute that he wasn't there.
Late.
By the time he got there, we was down 28-0. And he ain't get mad at me. He ain't look at me. He ain't say nothing. He just came in, pulled the team in. Yo, this is what we about to do. Yo, and in 3 minutes, he was up 10. I'm like, yo, this boy crazy with it. Like, I don't even understand how he was able to control the game like that, man. From that day on, I was hooked. JC. I wanted to learn. I'm like, yo, I got to know how to do that. Like, what he did.
Yeah. I tell you, man, it's called command and respect from jump. And once you get their respect, they're gonna run through walls for you. And like I said, I've been watching you from afar, bro. I used to be up in Villanova when you up in Villanova and you working out guys. I'd be up there watching, just checking you out, man.
Yep.
You at the bottom. You at the bottom gym. I'm at the top gym. I'm in the girls' gym, in the boys' gym. I'm just working cats out, and I just watch it, and I articulate. I watch how guys work. You know what I mean? And your work ethic is second to none, bro. But jumping on Kalo, man. So you eventually got to a level to where you were getting top-notch kids in Philadelphia to play with you guys. What was it like on those AAU circuits at that time? And talk a little bit about some of the players that you had go through your on your teams and through the organization.
I mean, the crazy thing is, like, I spent probably 2 or 3 years. I thought I was recruiting. I thought I was doing something, but I wasn't really doing nothing. And I just was trying to at that point, I realized I'm young, I'm nobody, I'm not really dug in this game yet. So I might have to take a step back and kind of look into some players that people might not know, or and people might not, just haven't put their eyes on yet. So at this point, I'm using my relationships with former teammates, high school, classmates, and just trying to see point me to the direction of some hoopers. I need to get some hoopers for this AAU team. And AAU back then was different. It wasn't no EYBL, wasn't no 3SSB, no UA circuit. It was just it might have been a couple Nike tournaments, a couple Adidas tournaments. It was lining it up. It didn't matter what sneaks you had on. You had to play against the best.
Exactly. That's what it needs to go back to. That's what it needs to go back to.
Yeah, it definitely. We missing something with that, man. We definitely missing something with that.
Absolutely.
But I ended up talking to one of my high school football teammates my senior year, and he's like, "Yo, I got this guard. I'm my little cousin. He play ball. He say he love it, but I be taking him to the park, shooting with him, but I can't really teach him nothing. Is there anything you can kind of help me with him with?" And I'm just like, "Well, we got AAU practice up with South College. Just bring him up, see how he look. We figure it out." He was in 8th grade. And you walk in the gym with him, and his guard walks in short, stocky, strong, real confident, just smiling ear to ear, so happy to be there. And I'm like, "What's going on, young? What's your name?" And he's like, "Malik Waynes." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, nice to meet you, man." And he's like, "Damn, can I hoop?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead, go hoop." And we let him practice. And after the first practice, he's like, "Yo, I'm trying to go to a tournament with y'all." And I'm like, "No, youngin', that ain't how it work. You got to kind of put some time in, And he was just like, "All right, well, next summer, what's up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, next summer for sure. We figure it out." And when I tell you, he called me every day for a year straight. And I was at school, so I ain't even really had no, my cell phones back then was it wasn't big. I had a dorm phone, and I couldn't even dial out. You had to call me.
Facts.
He would literally call my dorm phone every day. So that's kind of how I got my first recruit by accident. I didn't know. I'm 19, 20. I'm kind of getting annoyed. This young kid keep calling me, just wanting to talk about the same thing over and over. But he just wanted to be good, and he loved the game, and he was passionate, and he felt like he had some game, and people didn't recognize him as a basketball player because he was still a football player back then. He was considered one of West Catholic and playing football. Nobody knew this.
I sure didn't. Wow.
No, man, it was crazy. I recruited him. And Tony Chenault, it was my first 2 recruits.
Tony Chenault, wow, man, look at him.
Tony
now. Both of them went to Villanova.
Crazy. We're gonna get into that later, But Tony, dad, and my mom went to high school together in Philly at Frankfurt. His dad was a big time basketball player, and he grew up in Allen, and I played in Allen Eagles, so we got close. He was that young kid always walking around, big head with a basketball, just wanting to talk about who he was better than. So bringing them 2 in, at the time, Tony was #1 player in the country. So I'm feeling good about myself. I could go to Lonnie. He get him in Adidas camp as an 8th grader. Kyle, messing with him a little bit, helping him out. And this is the first year team finals started. And Tony actually backdoored me and went and played with finals. So by default, Malik became my focus.
Hey.
Realistically,
that's a great focus to have, man. For those who don't know about Malik Waynes, man, he's one of the toughest kids to ever come out of Philadelphia. When I talk about his game, man. I love his game. I love watching him at Villanova, and had the pleasure of working with him a few times, man. Up a competitive edge in the gym, and just seeing, you ain't lying, the kid is strong as an ox, you know. And I told him all the time, man, you know, there's no way you shouldn't still stay being in the league, you know.
Bro, talented, man.
Talented as hell. I don't understand it, but, you know, league politics sometimes, you know, it tends to creep up on people, man. But, man. That kid, yo, man, I always love that dude's game, man. I mean, the Villanova, it went from Kyle, Malik, Tony, all those guys, you know, Reggie, all these guys in the city came to Nova, which I miss. You know, I miss that part about Nova, you know, getting some of these guys, you know. I think staying in the city and getting these guys to come up to school, man, and, you know, hopefully one day that'll go back to that way again. You know, obviously with Colin Gillespie, even though he's not from the city, but he's still a tough ass guard.
He kid, man. He all that.
Yeah, I would see all that. We know that already, dog.
We've been watching it for the last 6 months. Like crazy.
That boy, a league player, Mark R. Colin Gillespie will be in the NBA next year. Promise you on that part, man. Going from Kalo, man, you then went on to coach high school. Was Harrington your first job?
No, Roman was actually my first job.
Okay, Roman was, okay.
I got a chance to be an assistant under Cristo, man. Like,
okay. Talk about coaching in the Catholic League, man. Talk to these people about coaching in the Catholic League a little bit in Philadelphia, man.
The Catholic League is serious. Yeah, it's one of, if not the best league in the country. You know, of course, DC Catholic League is good. You know,
facts.
You know, California got, you know, one of the strongest, you know, high school, you know, setups.
Yeah,
man, the different levels of schools.
Yeah,
man, there's talent everywhere. But that Catholic is not like a Catholic League rivalry, man. A Catholic League atmosphere, just like it's a tough crowd, fans.
Man,
you can run into a guard from the inner city that you might have, you know, played against growing up, or you can run into a Colin Gillespie that you ain't know. That you think is sweet, but come out and put 30 on your head. Like, so,
these guys know. They'll
you know, it's crazy, man. It's a war every night. But I had ended up building a bond with Chris because working with Malik, and at the time Chris was under set and he was just an assistant. So he was the one that was, you know, if Malik wasn't working with me, you know, he would be at school working with Chris. So we would just get on the phone and try to come up and align our goals for Malik, trying to make sure we're, teaching him the same things and on the same page as far as what we're saying to him, so we don't confuse him. And we just clicked. And then when he became the coach, he was just like, yo, would you be interested? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I come in, and he kind of leaned on me and gave me a lot more responsibility than I expected him to. So that was like a good experience, not only just because of Catholic League, but Chris was a college level coach. And he held the players accountable just as much as he held the coaches accountable. Me being a head coach and only really coaching under Lonnie at that time, like, it was different having somebody try to, like, you know, bark at me when they feel like, you know, we're not doing things to the, you know, the standard that he wanted. And, you know, coming from North Philly, that ain't the easiest thing, hearing somebody yell at you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's different. You know what I mean? Like, it's different.
Yeah, you gotta swallow your tongue a little bit. You gotta learn how to take it a little bit. And that's part of coaching, though, you know, but that's only going to make you better. And I try to tell people that all the time, you know, as assistant coaches, you know, we have our ideas and we have our minds of what we think we should be doing. And sometimes the coaches might be different. And if you got a good coach, man, he's going to tell you how it is, but he's going to listen too. He or she will listen. You know what I mean? So that's good that you found that out early, bro. Because, you know,
man. So
it took some people a lot of time, especially me, to learn how to listen
figure
to
that out.
Coaches, right? Yeah, facts, right? Yeah.
Take some time. Yeah. So that was a good start for me, man. Like, just starting at Roman and seeing how a real program is ran. It was like, okay, I've seen it on the AAU side. I've coached on the AAU side. Now I'm seeing how you do it here, and schedule and time management, and you know, making sure your practices are, you know, all that stuff, like grades and building relationships with the kids. But being an assistant at Roman showed me how to get them kids to the point where it was like, even if I'm not the head coach, I know they're going to come to me when they don't feel like they can go to the head coach. Yeah. And I think Chris saw that, like, the kids related to me. Kids grasp to me. Like, you know, I
That's
had
a
a little
strong
bit
bond,
younger.
man.
Yeah.
It's a strong bond. You know, anytime you got a coach who's got a great personality and connects with kids, man, you're an asset to any kind of coaching, any kind of coach's staff, man. So that's kudos,
Right.
bro. Yep. You know, so you know, talk about that. You know, you just pretty much touched on it. The transition from AAU to high school, super huge. You know, like you said, scheduling. You know, going in with a practice plan. AAU, you sometimes throw the ball out, let these dudes do what they need to do.
Right.
Maybe a little bit of player development. You know, and we're about to touch on that. You know, but you know that transition from AU to high school, man, was huge, bro. I've done it myself, and it took a lot. You know,
it was able to help me tie things back in because seeing how high school practices was ran, like from there it was just like, man, I don't want my AAU practices to be like a typical AAU practice. I don't want to move the ball. Let's work on some principles. Let's work on, you know, defensive, you know, technique. You know, how we gonna play ball screens, how we gonna talk it out. You know, keep the ball in front of us, keep it out the lane. So that's kind of like where from there I kind of shifted our Halo culture to being one of them programs that actually teach and develop and win games. But if you practice it with us, like kids already know, like if you don't work hard, it's gonna be a long day. So that's kind of like, you know, I learned a lot from that transition, man. It wasn't easy, but it definitely showed me a lot learning both sides of it, for sure.
Man, love it, man. So when did you really, you know, you touched a little bit on, you know, training with Malik and, you know, taking him under your wing. When did you really start liking player development? You know, to me, that's the beauty of the basketball game, man. You know, getting a young kid like that and working with them every day and putting in that sweat equity with the kid and getting him out there, and then obviously seeing his dreams be fulfilled. You see some dreams being fulfilled. You now become a guy who is turning dreams into reality, man. You know, how did you fall in love with, I call it the sweat equity, the grind of player development, man?
I'm gonna say 3 people. And I don't even think these 3 people know that they affected me this much player development wise. And I would say, like, not everyone on this that I'm going to mention is known as a player development guy either. So it was just like, you know, different reasons. But the first person I would say was John Harnett.
Yeah, the legend.
Working with the legend, you know, rest his soul, the GOAT. In our city, man, like, you know, if you was talking about development and from that time frame, you couldn't talk about it without mentioning John, without talking about Gustine Lakes and pros he had coming through and how he managed to help so many people get better. You know what I mean? And it wasn't, you know, if you was a pro, you didn't have many outlets. It wasn't many skill development guys. That wasn't a thing back then.
No.
So what John was doing was cutting edge. It was ahead of his time, man. Like, I walk in the gym and there's 60 people on 3 courts and they working on basic skill fundamentals, pull-ups, footwork, you know, jab, shot fakes, you know, creating space, you know, being able to, you know, space the floor. So I would literally, for me to be able to get in the gym with Malik, right? Shout out to Ashley Howard too. He was like one of the youngest assistants in the country.
Yeah.
He was at LaSalle. And he was just like, you know, he kind of had a futuristic thought process as far as identifying and building relationships with young kids. He saw I had Malik with me so much. I don't even know if he knew Malik had the potential that he had, but he was just like, yo, why don't you bring the young boy up and you can work him out here? And I'm like, yeah. He like, look, John coming at 10. He start walking in at like 9:30. Come set up, bring his fruit in, his basketballs, all his equipment with his young kids. If you can get here in enough time to get some work in and be out before 9:30, you can have this gym every morning. Man, and I'm like, for real?
You know what's crazy is I was at LaSalle at that time, finishing up my undergrad, working in the career services department. And I would play lunchtime ball with Ashley. Me and Ash would play lunchtime ball, and I would sit around there and I would leave work to go watch John Arnett's workouts. Now, obviously, that was in John's later years, but still, you know, it was still great enough to see somebody doing that. And I was a big developer. I just come off the, you know, coaching the WNBA and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, and seeing that development. And I'm working with guys like Mike Miller and Chucky Atkins and all those guys, and watching John Arnett, you know, articulate his vision to these guys. I think one of the main guys I used to watch him work out with, Young boy went to play for Milwaukee Bucks. He's from the area, man.
Lynn.
Not Lynn Greer, but he was there. Nah, what's the other dude name? Went to Miami.
John Salmons.
John Salmons. I loved him, man.
Cold as ice.
I love me some John Salmons, dog. That motherfucking game was so cold, bro. And just watching him work every day, man. And then he was in the gym with John. And, man, yeah, shout out to rest in peace, my man, John Arnett, man. But
yeah, man.
So John Arnett and is Ashley one of those guys, or is it John Arnett and who else?
No, not Ash. Ash kind of gave me my first opportunity. He opened the door for me. You couldn't just walk in any gym and get some gym time. Like, you know what I mean?
Right about 10, not in Philadelphia.
Not in Philly. Not in Philly. You had Sonny down at Temple.
Yep.
Sonny was locking Temple down. You had John at LaSalle, and rec centers wasn't really popping like that. So it was just like you had to know somebody. Yep. So you know, I would literally like walk out the gym, wait for John and them to come back in. I would drop Malik off, and I would come back, sneak in, and just watch through the door. Like, damn, that's Baron Davis over there. Like, oh, and I was always a huge Lynn fan, and I'm like, Lynn in here killing dudes, like, and Marty Collins. Like, you know, I was a big Gratz, you know, fan back in the day growing up.
Loved his game too,
bro.
He didn't move as fast like he did, but he had slow, cerebral game. I call it, man. He knew what he was gonna do before you even did it. You know what I mean? I love this game, man. You know.
Yeah, So just watching John, kind of like made me fall in love with it a little bit. Then when Kyle was at Villanova, you know, his pre-draft was a little different from everybody's. Like he was, this is before IMG was like, you know, IMG, but he spent a lot of his pre-draft down at IMG training. Yeah. But you know, Jay don't play that. Like, you know, you going to league or not, and you can stay here for as many weeks as possible to finish your schoolwork up and be a student athlete before you leave and go handle your business. He wants you around. So Kyle spent a lot of his time when he wasn't at IMG at Nova working out with Pat Chambers.
Okay.
And I would literally like just drive up there 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and just sit in the gym and watch Pat work Kyle out at. It wasn't even no Davis Center then. It wasn't Jake Nevin. It was St. Mary's.
Yeah, St. Mary's gym. I used to play pickup in there. Yeah.
Super hot.
Hot.
It was super hot.
Hot as hell. Hot as hell in the gym, man. Hell
man, It was crazy. So I would sit there, and then the days I couldn't get there, I would ask Pat because he recorded and put it on DVD. So I still got them in my crib. I got a bunch of them Villanova basketball CDs with the white cover on them. I got a bunch of them Jones, just him watching, you know, working with Kyle. So I saw that and saw how Pat could motivate Kyle. And I'm just like, man, I want to be able to motivate players like that too. So that was good. But then,
so when did Billy start working them out?
So listen, Billy recruited Kyle.
Right.
So he was the associate at Nova at the time.
Before he went to Navy. Gotcha.
He left to go to Navy right before Kyle came to campus.
Oh, wow.
So Kyle and Billy didn't speak for years.
Really?
He, you know, Kyle took that personal. Like, he came to Nova because of Billy. Yeah. You know, so it was like, you know, I think when Billy came back to Nova, him and Kyle started talking a little bit more.
Got you. I used to see Billy working them out a lot.
In the mornings.
You know, in the mornings. Yeah. Yep. And you would be in there working with him too. So.
Yep. And Pat kind of felt that void when Billy left and just building that rapport with Kyle. You know, Kyle was a little hothead back then. And, you know how that goes. So Pat was like his guy. So from there, fast forward a couple years, now I'm actually, you know, I done trained Malik and he's a McDonald's All-American. Now I'm into it. I'm going to Impact in the summer with Kyle. I'm out Vegas just watching, learning. I'm seeing T. Lou in the summertime, and I'm like, damn, I ain't know T. Lou was this good, but he in here putting his work in, and I'm starting to find a newfound respect for it. And Al Williams was just retired, and he was with Toronto, and he was doing skill development. I don't know, you remember?
Oh, come on, man, it's my guy. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So he I think one summer Kyle and Shane. After Shane's senior year, he was just like, look, I'm going to work with y'all at Nova. And I literally would come in there, and me and Reg would be coming in to get some shots up. Reg and Malik might have been the only two players at that time to trust me to work them out. Right. So, like, we would have to wait for Al and them to get off the court to get on. So I would watch Al do more, like, pre-draft stuff. like, and actually do the NBA style sessions. Like, you know, at that point, it was a workout was just a workout. You know, we just doing whatever. And it's like, no, it's a difference between working with an NBA
players. Yep.
You know what I mean? It's a big difference for you know what I mean, for trainers out there. Like back then it was still developing. So it was like, now it was like, all right, now I see what I'm not doing. Like this is something different. So like, and Al, you know, he's so thorough, man. Like to this day, like he always, you got a question, whatever you need, you're gonna talk a little bit of trash to you and make sure you remember, like, you know, I'm tough. You know, I got game still. But
and
you
that's when he used to be out there shooting with cats.
Yep.
He ain't doing that no more.
No, I mean, you know, he'll still come up. He'll still come up over on Sundays. Every now and then, come get his rec in.
Yeah.
But you know, the knees, they like this now. You can't really do too much.
That stuff hurts. Trust me, I know. But it's a good point that you just made, man. I want all my player development coaches who are listening to this podcast to really understand huge difference when you're doing a NBA pre-draft workout than just doing a regular workout. I mean, you're getting these guys prepared for what they are going to see with NBA teams if they go to NBA team workouts. You know, a lot of pick and roll sets, you know, a lot of pick and rolls, a lot of dribble handoff, DHOs, working on that. You're working on their stamina, their sprinting. They got to be in shape. No GM's going to want somebody who can't run up and down the court 2 or 3 times and they're winded. You got to be in shape when you're doing a pre-draft workout. A lot of running, a lot of reps up. This is simple stuff, man. Fundamentals, another key word that you mentioned, man. And again, that's why I love your work. You focus a lot on the fundamentals, man, which is a lost art when it comes to watching guys train. You know, I see everything, man. You know, I may not be from Philadelphia. I'm an implant, but I've studied the city. I've watched a lot of guys work, man. And your attention to detail, man, that's one of the things I love about you, bro. And man, I say to you all the time, but you know, to me, that's a turning point for me to be like, yo, that guy's got something right there. If I'm not in town, I want to send my guy with this dude, or I send guys to this dude right here, because you know, you got to pay attention to details, man. And that's huge. That's a huge thing with player development. But jumping on that, man. So we got John Arnett, Pat Chambers, and Alvin Williams. Those are your 3 guys who really, really got you started.
Introduced me to it, got me hooked, man. You know,
man,
it ain't take much.
It don't take much, man. Nah, for sure. So now you know you got your high school. You were at Roman, and then you took a head coaching job at Harrison.
Well, before that, I left Roman. I went to Constitution.
Okay.
Who was developing to like a public league powerhouse. Right. I ended up going there for a year, and Rob Moore, who's still my man to this day, he kind of just told me, like, look, bro, what you know, do your thing. Like, what you good at? And I'm like, well, I think I do pretty good defensively, but I feel like offensively I can help you too. And from there, he was like, look, we'll give you the keys. Like, whatever you think we should be doing offensively, whatever you should be doing defensively, do your thing. He kind of would let me run practice. He would kind of let me like have like strategy control. But he managed games. He ran our program. He was a great administrator. So going from Roman to Constitution, going from Catholic League to Public League is like apples and oranges.
Oh, huge difference.
Man, it's the trenches. Like, you know, you go into certain gyms and it's like, man, we win this game, we might not get out of here today. Like, it's crazy in here. Like,
right.
So leaving, you know, going from Roman, going to Constitution, and we happened to Deron Russell, man, he took a public league championship out of my hands, man, on a buzzer beater. But we ended up having a great year, finished like top 25 in the country. We ended up winning the city title, state championship, and I actually just happened to have some momentum. And George Washington High School came available.
Okay.
And it was like another public league school. I was familiar with the pub at that point. They like, you know, they offered me the job, and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna take it. And I took that for a year. So. After starting at Roman, I spent like 3 years going from Constitution to GW, and my grandma passed away, and I ended up taking some time off and resigning. And I told myself, I promised myself to keep my word to my grandma to keep working and keep trying to help kids. So after I, you know, took some family time off and took a year off to just cut, you know, get myself together, Harridan became available.
Nice.
And it seemed like the right time, man. It was like I wanted a new challenge. I have been coaching AAU now for this point. I'm 8 years in. I'm a director now. And I had top 25 teams. I done put 7 to 8 Division I kids in school every year. I'm like, you know what?
Right.
Let me prove I can go coach in a league that's more about strategy and preparation rather than talent and transfers.
Right.
And anybody that know the Central League is based off your neighborhood, your township. You ain't doing too much recruiting.
Recruiting can't.
Unless you at Lower Marion, you know, you get away with a little bit at Lower Marion. You know, I can say that now.
You can say it now. You can say it no more, dog.
Couldn't say it a year ago, but unless you crack down it for sure. BJ know a little bit about that.
BJ know about that, man.
You know about that.
All right, we gonna hush up on that, man.
But yeah, like it was a great 3 years, man. I learned the main line a little bit, you know. Was able to, you know, beautiful facility, beautiful, man. Like, so I'm literally like up under my AD as much as possible, like not knowing it what might segue into the next thing, but I'm just like, yo, I'm one of them people like, yo, you need help? What you got going on? How you balancing that budget? Show me how you know, how you get these uniforms to be so organized. Show me the closet. How you been, you know, what's your system? And he would lean on me and ask me to help out if I didn't mind. And you know, I feel like my time at Harridan, man, was a great learning experience. Great learning experience, man.
I learned from every situation, bro.
Right. It was an obstacle, and you know, I love a challenge. I love a challenge. You know, at that point in time, I don't think Harridan had beat Lower Marion in 15 years. I'm like, man, if anything, before I get out of this joint, I definitely gotta get one of these wins. Like, we gotta get one. Like, we gotta get one of them. And we got that. We got that. You know, that was, you know, we checked that off the list my last year. So I was big. I was happy.
Got you, man. I love it, man. You know, so, man, you know, we're gonna segue into basically, you know, what you're getting ready to do now. But before I do that, man, I want to talk about a little bit about, you know, I've seen you around town. You know, you've had a lot of players coming in and out of town and working with you. A lot of NBA players. I know you've done a lot of work, obviously, with Malik when he was in NBA. Obviously, that relationship goes back. But you know, Kyle, you've had another Orton, my man Kyle, you know, coming to the gym too from the Sixers, and you know, a lot of other guys. And talk a little bit about your Competition Friday, bro. That's one of my favorites, bro. I love me some Competition Friday, dog. Talk to me
you
about
definitely
that,
came
man.
up and supported. You know, I appreciate that.
Man. Hey, like I told you, man, I'm gonna break bread with you, bro. I love your work. I love seeing what you do. And when guys are saying, yo, I'm gonna go up to Sant, man. Sant got Competition Friday. I'm like, Competition Friday. So talk to me a little bit about, you know, your mindset on Competition Friday and how you got that to come to fruition.
It's crazy. Like, I know, like, you know, we both get a chance to work with Reg, you know, throughout the off seasons. And, you know, he's one of my favorite professionals, one of my closest friends. And, you know, like I said, when I first started off, like, I think he graduated from Nova the same year I graduated from Westchester. So, you know, he coming out of Nova, you know, he might not have had a great senior year. He probably had a chance to maybe get drafted if things ain't go, you know, a certain way. But at that point, like, he coming out trying to figure out how to get over the water. He didn't have a big agent. He didn't have no big budget. Nobody was flying him to the West Coast to get some work in. So it was just like, yo, you gonna work me out this summer? And it's like, all right, cool. Like, we figure it out. And I had been watching enough of Owl stuff. I had been doing enough of the college and high school stuff, watching, you know, different college programs and stuff. And I always, you know, Nova at the time, I felt like it was, you know, ahead of the curve with the footwork. You know what I mean? And Reg, you know, Reg got elite footwork. You know what I mean?
Sure,
so
no question.
We would get in the gym, you know, early on in 2010. And, you know, at this point, it's just me and him, maybe Dwayne Anderson, I hop in, Dante, a couple of the Nova guys. But basically him and Malik and, you know, maybe Kyle once in a while. But we would get – honestly, we created Competition Friday by accident, bro. Like, I can't even – like, it wasn't even nothing like really like – marketing wise, like, you know what, this is cool. It was just like by the time at the long Thursday night with Reg, it would be hard to get him up. Like, yo, come on up to the gym Friday. And he like,
man,
tired,
I feel like
man. I put that work in all week. I could take a day off, and it's just like, no. But after his second year of being a pro, I'm like, yo, on Friday we're gonna come in, we're gonna do some competition, we're gonna play a little one-on-one. And he like, what you mean? I ain't got nobody to play against. I'm like, no, you gonna play against me. So, you know, I would make it a little bit of an advantage where though, like, all right, we'll play 1-on-1 for 8 spots. If he got a bucket, he get 1. If I get a stop, I get 2.
You get 2. Yeah.
Game go to 5. Whoever win the spot got, you know, whoever lose the spot got to do down and back.
Yeah.
So it was just like a different look at the end of the week, a different incentive to keep guys, you know, motivated, keep them interested. And as the summers went on and I started adding 2 or 3 guys every year, it was just like, you know what? Let's make this a thing, Competition Friday. And I think probably around like 2016, it became like a thing where my guys was talking about it. They was coming home like, yeah, I want him. Like, I want to play against him. And then I took that and I'm like, well, let me start instigating these matchups a little bit. It's like, all right, Leek, so what you saying, Leek, you want Wanye on Friday, or you scared of Wanye on Friday? All right, my fault. I don't want no trouble. Like, I ain't.
You causing havoc, man. You causing havoc, dog.
Dude's like, what? Like,
getting in these dudes' heads, man. I love it, dog.
Wanye, like, Leek can't guard me. And it's like, Leek, like, what are you talking to? The only way we figure it out, we got 9 spots. Let's lock it up.
Lock it in.
You know, and I'm a student, man. I'm a sponge. Like, so I would watch. Like, you talk about you being up top in the Davis Center and watching me. Like, I'm sneaking up in the window and the door in the hallway of the Davis Center watching you. I'm watching Chuck. I'm watching Joe Bodazar from Impact, and I'm watching the different style of 1-on-1s. And it's like, it ain't a lot of dribbles. You ain't gonna get too many of them unless you're a superstar.
Facts.
You can't
say that again. Slow. Say it again.
You are, listen to all hoopers right now, pro, college, high school. If you are not a first or second or superstar, you know, option on that team, you better get that thing in 2 to 3 dribbles.
Facts.
You better be able to attack off the catch and the closeout. If not, swing that thing, man.
Let it get out your hands. Get out your hands, man. Yeah, you ain't gonna get the ball again.
So I'm like, you know, how can I structure this to make this realistic? And it's like, all right, let's put a time limit on how long you got to score. Let's put a max amount of dribbles, and that's shorten this area. You know what I mean? Like, you can't start catch on the right wing and take a fade from the left elbow. Like, you done ran past 3 help defenders at that point in the real game. That's not, you ain't even getting that shot.
It's not realistic. It's not realistic.
So it's like, you know, all right, stand. Put somebody here. That's keeping you on his right side. You got to score in tough, uncomfortable, small, tight areas. So, you know, from there, each year from like 2016, I think I added something. And, man, this summer it was just like, man, let me throw all the eggs in one basket and kind of market this thing and see how far we can push it. And we didn't win as far as, like, you know, trademarking this thing. And next summer we got some big stuff coming, man, with Competition Friday. I get female athletes hitting me up like, yo, we don't get no competition.
I can't get in.
We can't get no rec. So next year we're gonna expand it. You know, my son now, he 13, he's starting to hoop and go through his journey.
Man, I love it.
Summer,
I love it.
I want my friend, let me get 4 of my friends, we can do one. And I'm like, you can do whatever y'all want to do. Like, you know, it's good that it's spread.
I love it, man, because you went from high school, you had the pro, you got the college, and you got the pros, all these guys coming in. They got hour slots coming in. Hour slots. Yo, I got these guys coming in. I got my bigs coming. I got bigs coming in to do my bigs, you know, for Competition Friday, man. That's why I had to come up there and check it out, man. But you know, I wanna shift a little bit now and let's talk about, you know, you had a big summer, bro. You know, even during COVID, you had a big summer, bro. And first, I want to talk about, you know, the TBT tournament, man. You know, I sat here in the house watching you flourish in the TBT tournament. Talk about your experience with the TBT tournament for the first time this year and getting really a chance to coach pros. You know, it's one thing to coach high school guys, and coach at a pro level and a pro tournament, man. And, you know, what did you gain from that experience?
Man, relationships, exposure.
Yeah.
Definitely, like, just learning, man. Like, you know, for everybody that didn't know, like, before the NBA had a bubble, the TBT had a bubble.
Bubble first, exactly. And, that's what they got it from.
The NBA was actually watching and working with the TBT the whole time to see how it worked. Yeah. So I stumbled into the opportunity to have a chance to coach that team. It was actually 2 other high school coaches I'm close with, Tahar Sutton, Deron Russell's stepdad, and Miguel Bocachico, who coaches with me at Kalo and is the head coach at West Catholic. They were actually the 2 coaches. And I actually got pulled in because they just wanted somebody to come up and work them out. So I came up maybe like 3 times. They put that check on the table. I'm gonna go get it. That was like, I didn't do any workouts from March to May during COVID because wasn't many gyms available and I just didn't feel comfortable. So they called me up like, yo, we, come up, work us out. We got a check for you. I'm like, all right, I'm coming up. So I came up a couple times, and I think schedule-wise, Tahar just couldn't commit to it. He one of them guys, if he couldn't give it 1,000%, he didn't want to do it. Right. And I work out Novar Gatson, Ramon Moore, Khalid Wyatt. We been locked in a couple summers.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I'm gonna piggyback on Moore, man. I love that dude's game, man. Now I don't even know if he remembers this, but I don't know him too personally that well. Mm-hmm. But last year I had an opportunity to go coach the Chinese national team, and he just got done playing in Australia. Yeah, and we would play 5 friendly games against Australian players from the NBL, and he was on that team. I would tell these, I'm trying to articulate to these guys with my interpreter. I'm like, yo, he's from Philly. He got a different speed about him. He's a bucket. I said, y'all got to guard this dude, man. Mm-hmm. And trying to talk in a different language to them who ain't really understanding what you're talking about. I'm like, yo, you got to guard him. If he gets hot, you're in trouble. I love that dude's game, man. I love that dude's
super
game.
Tough and super tough. And he's actually Kyle's brother-in-law.
Ain't that
a lot
something?
of people don't know that. That's crazy.
Did not know that.
His sister is married to Kyle. Ayanna Cornish, who's a hooper herself, went to high school with me. So it's like all the relationships tie into each other. His best friend is actually my mom's godson. So
wait a minute, that's young blood going to St. Joe's.
That's his little brother.
That's his youngest brother. So, okay, all right.
So Ayanna is the first bucket getter in that family.
Right.
They was putting 30 on people's head before Moan was, and then Moan did his thing at Southern and Temple, and then Rod now is, Blossom at St. Joe's. He had a big summer too.
He looked great, man. They did a lot of good work with him this summer, man. Shout out, man.
He's gonna be a stud, man. He's gonna have a great year. But yeah, me and Moan, we was in the gym. He would go to TBT practice and then come work out with me. So he's just like, yo, you should coach our team. I'm like, I don't really know. I actually took it to my circle, people I listen to, people I trust, help me make decisions. And everybody in my circle was like, no, bro. They like, I don't know if they're going to let you coach him. I don't know if that's going to be right. Maybe, it might be best for you to sit this one out. You got to go in a bubble. You might be away for 30 days. It's a lot of money you missing out on, time from your family. And I'm just like, something in me just told me, like, no, you might got to ignore everybody on this one. And I'm like literally in my house, trying to convince people, like, yo, y'all tripping. And I'm like, no, this might be, ain't no basketball going on right now. There's no basketball. I'm about to be on ESPN where at least 5 million people are going to be watching at least one game. I know I at least get one game to show what I could do.
Yep.
I'm like, with us not having AAU, I'm used to having AAU in the summer where I can kind of do my thing. And I'm like, man, I don't got no, honestly, momentum is the key.
Yep. You got to stay hot, got to stay relevant.
Key, man. You got to stay hot, got to stay relevant. So anybody out there, any line of business, you're doing your thing, you got to keep your name out there. So it's like, then maybe this would be a way to keep me going. And I remember sitting in the house with Dane Wall, little Dane, like a little brother to me. He like, no, Sam, you grown. And, and I'm like, after I broke it down to him, he was the only person that was like, you know what? It makes sense, man. You might want to do this. So I went ahead and did it, man. And went out there and I can honestly say, man, that bubble life is not sweet. It is not nothing to be played with.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
I wanted to go outside. I just wanted to go outside and get sunlight. We on the 13th floor of a hotel. We can't really leave our floor. Everybody got their own room, so we cool. A lot of spade games, a lot of red wine. just sitting around watching basketball. We ain't had nothing to do. So they would give us gym time to go practice. But people like me, you used to be in the gym 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Now I'm being restricted to you got an hour and 30 minutes. And I'm like, what? Can't do nothing with that, but it gave me an opportunity to meet some people. Rob Kennedy is one of the solid partners with the TBT, and he runs hoop groups, so he's a good friend of mine. somebody I always look to for advice. And just crazy, like I met Matt Fraschilla at Villanova,
right.
Fran Fraschilla's son. You know,
yep.
manager up there, good dude, always let me in the gym when I need to get in. And he hit me one day. It was like, you know, yo, I don't know if you remember this or not, but my dad said you introduced yourself to him at a Nova practice. He got your game coming up. He want to talk.
Man, he plugged you. He plugged you. He plugged you out there, dog. I want to tell you. I mean, when I was sitting up in the house watching the game, bro, I said, yo, Kyle is on his way, man.
Bro.
I said, Samp is on his way. I was so happy for you in that moment, bro.
I get this call from Fran. I'm sitting in my room doing nothing. He like, yo, we got some, you know, production prep meetings for ESPN. Like, you know, you want to be on them. You want to, you know, listen. If you want to, you know, just be a fly on the wall, like, let me know. I got you. And from there, like, I guess he talked to a couple dudes in Philly about the team from Brotherly Love. And he said my name just kept coming up from older guys that he always respected. Like Horace Owens coached me in Sunny Hill. Pappy was my guy. That was
Pappy. Shout out Pappy.
He recruited Pappy. You know what I mean?
And that's crazy.
And Billy Hine was like the first coach to offer Malik Reigns. And he was an assistant under Billy Hine. So he talked to Billy, he talked to Pappy, and they both threw my name out there. So Pappy kind of shot me a text, was like, yo, Fran gonna reach out to you, you know, give him whatever you want. Like, you know, give him all the information you need. You my youngin'. You know how Pappy is, you know.
Yep.
Listen, young fella, you know how you break it down to you. You got to work your connections. You got to work your connections.
Oh, I miss my guy, man. I don't get to see him no more, man. I'm sad that I don't even know where he at, man. But he's still around, man. You know, he just stepped away from LaSalle this year. Yep.
You know, he's getting to enjoy his free time a little bit. You know, probably somewhere shopping. You know how Pappy get.
Smooth,
man. But yeah, me and Fran. A 30-minute conversation one day was, you know, that was just supposed to be it. And I think we had like 4 days leading up until our next game because that next round.
One team, the bye. So
I literally sat on the phone for 4 days straight for 2 hours every day, just talking to Fran Fraschilla and just picking his brain. I took some Harridan kids up to a Nova practice during the fall, and I asked them, like, you know, I was walking past him when we was walking out, and I'm like, can you get a picture? And we took a picture with him. I posted on Twitter, and I tagged him, and you know, DM me. So I'm just happy I made that connection and spoke up, introduced my players to him because he remembered me from Harridan.
Right.
So all that tied into each other. And he just told me, he was like, listen, it's going to be like a 2-hour interview for you. Like, I'm basically I'm going to plug you. Right. And beautiful. And he was trying to connect with Kyle because he's actually working with NBA pre-draft. You know, doing some film stuff with some incoming point guards for this draft. And he was using Kyle and CP as an example on film for these guys. So he was just like, yo, do you mind connecting me with Kyle? And I called Kyle. Kyle like, yeah, give my number. And from there, he was just like, yo, whatever you need. Yeah. And then Kyle didn't even let me know, but he had signed off to jump on the call and kind of like, you know, talk about what I do for K-Lo and, you know, how I work with him and, you know, my journey as a coach. And man, I got off that court. We was a little mad. We had lost, but man, my phone was doing numbers, and I'm like, all right, maybe this did work out. You know what I mean?
Opportunities, bro.
Never know.
Opportunities. I tell people all the time, man. You know, I got a call. I was at an AU tournament in 2016, coached one of them competitive edge teams up in Pittsburgh. Got the call about going up to Cleveland and working for Rich Paul and possibly training 2 NBA players. How fast can I get there? I turn around on 76, man. You know, turn around on 76 and jetted that thing out there, man. You know, called home, said, yo, I'll be home in a couple of days. I got to do this real quick. And look at where I'm at now. If I didn't turn around, you know, things would be a lot different for me. But, you know, when those opportunities, you know, take it, you know, pop up, you got to jump on them, bro. Man. I'm so mad that my boy Franz wasn't able to play with you guys. Yo, if Franz would have played with you guys, y'all would have won that thing. I'm trying to tell you, man.
Man.
Franz is a bucket, and he killed the year before.
And he controls the
game.
The whole game.
He's as steady as it comes, man. But all right, man. So you got done with the TBT. You guys didn't get exactly where you wanted to go, but now you know people know who you are. An opportunity presents itself once again for you to step into the realms of a different direction at a school we had already mentioned. You had now accepted the position of being an athletic director at Cristo High School. And how did that come about, and why did you feel that this was the time for you to take that leap, that jump into being an athletic director?
Man, it was a lot of thought that went into that, man. Honestly, like I love coaching. I love coaching. I love the day-to-day grind of it, man. It's
in the blood. Yeah,
it's in me. Like I'm when I'm not coaching, I'm walking around the house shooting imaginary basketballs and driving everybody crazy, and it's just not. It wasn't all, when I wasn't coaching in the past. It wasn't always healthy for me. Like get that outlet, get that energy out of me, like in my fixing. So like when I got back from the TBT, it was just like every question, like what's next? What you doing? And my thought process is like, man, now I done came to TBT. The least I know I can do off this is I'm gonna be able to get a couple of them kids from Lower Marion and come down the street. Like that's where I'm thinking. I'm thinking small. Like if I get one or two, we good. Like
you good, right?
Yeah, that's all I'm thinking is like, I got some popularity where I'm coaching at. I know that'd be, one way I can get better, but the opportunities, the calls start coming in. And started off small and, different people just trying to see what I thought about different things. And it was just like, man, like, this, I might have some different opportunities in front of me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep turning these chances down, closing these doors without looking through them. So at that point, I'm just hearing people out, and a lot of people thought it was like, oh, you going to college, and I'm just like, no, I mean that's not really like right at this point in time. I don't know if that's the right move.
Yeah, it's tough right now with COVID. Sense. Yeah, with COVID right now, yeah, it's tough.
And it's tough, like
that's a tougher grind.
Yeah, like it's especially starting out, you might have to go down and start your way up, and it's like nah,
you done already made your name. Right,
yeah,
you already made your name. You ain't going down. You're only going to go up. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, unless it's the right situation, if it was like the Big Five or something where it's like, working with a coach that I know that can let me do my thing and let me be me, then it's different. But, I'm like, you might not have that luxury to get your pick, in the beginning. So I got a call from, about an AD position. And, I've never been an AD before, but I'm a director for AAU programming, which is not high school, but man, travel.
Same.
It's a grind. It's a grind, man.
Yeah.
And,
yes, it is.
And when you're dealing with a sponsored AAU team, and you got to do, and you got to appease marketing, and you got to count product, and you got to do hotels, and flights, and vans,
all that stuff. Yeah, you manage it.
Yeah, recruitments. Yeah. You manage it. You are an athletic director.
Yeah, right. You're managing this and that and the third. You got to manage everything. Yep.
So, my thing was like, I've never been an AD before. If I'm going to consider it, it has to be somewhere where they're going to embrace my skill set and kind of like, set me for who I am. And it's a great, just like, I grew up in Erie Avenue. Cristo Rey is at 17th for Allegheny, which is like a hop, skip, and a jump away from there. And I ended up riding past the building one day, and I'm just like, yo, what is this? Like, this ain't supposed to be here. This joint look crazy. Like, what is this? Like, can I get in here? Right. And I'm looking around and not knowing a year before, a year early, like that this might be the place I end up at. And I had a chance to sit down with John McConnell, who was the president of Cristo Rey, and former AD who had, just, went on to St. Joe's Prep, who's a good friend of mine, Danny D. Okay. And I knew a couple kids, couple students, couple staff members that worked there, and I heard so many positive things about the school. And when I started doing my research, just looking at their mission and like, how their structure and the things that they implement, on a day-to-day basis is different from what anyone else is offering, not in athletics, but just from a school curriculum, activities, work study program, and just the internships they, create to be able to get these kids a work study environment in high school. And I'm just like, man, that sounds like a place that I want to be at, man. Like they're really helping kids, and they're helping kids from the inner city and you know, being in the main line is a different animal, man. Like you know, if you're not familiar with it, man, it can eat you alive and kind of like, you know, it's its own world, you know. It's a very wealthy area, and I never got in it for the money. It wasn't about the money for me with coaching. Maybe with workouts and running a business, but coaching was always about giving back to the kids. And I just felt like, you know, if I could get back in the city where I grew up at and kind of help develop a program that can, you know, not only help basketball players, but help, you know, cross, baseball, softball, soccer, track, rugby. It's just a whole new experience. And I'm like, this might be not only a good experience and a good way to learn, but, you know, once you're an AD, it's only up from there. It ain't, you don't go backwards. Like it's up. So I'm all about treading up and, you know, carrying out that momentum.
Right. No, so, you know, progressing, bro.
Like the right thing, man.
No, I love it, man.
Right,
you know, hey, like I said, when the iron's hot, you strike at it. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep going. And I'm proud of you, man. Like I said, you know, I was fortunate enough to talk to Rich a little bit and give my 2 cents on who you were as a man and what I think you can bring to the table, man. A little bit. I ain't gonna say I plugged a lot. I just said, hey, look, I said, you know, if you want somebody who's gonna elevate your programs to another level, Samp is my guy. I put that stamp on it, man, and it worked out for you, bro. I'm proud of you, man. All right, before we get up out of here tonight, no doubt. Before we get up out of here tonight, man, I normally ask 2 questions, man. Obviously, you know, I've had a lot of guys on from Philadelphia, so I'm gonna ask you. You know, I've learned from my mistakes. I'm gonna say top 5 with 2 subs. Top 5 players that you think are the best players to come out of Philadelphia and 2 subs.
No matter the level.
No matter the level, bro. This is your 7. This is your top 7. You know, it's your starting 5 and your 2 subs coming off the bench. You know?
Sheesh.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one because Philadelphia got a lot of damn ball
players.
We got a lot of
ball players. And it's different generations.
And not just guys who play in the league. I try to tell people that all the time. You guys got you guys got some of the best pros who are unheard of, you know, playing here, man. And you know, that's one of the reasons why I love going and I'm supporting the Trump class, the Trump Classic, man. A lot of guys come out there and show out, you know. I mean, it's not the Trump, the Danny Rumpf Classic, man. You know, and the Trump Classic. What the hell am I talking about, man? I'm thinking about the debate and stuff, man. But the Rumpf Classic, you know what I mean? It messed me up. But the Rumpf Classic, shout out to my man Mike Morat.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And
the goat right there.
And Reef, what up, boy? Reef, what up? You know, but you know, I love the Rumpf Classic, man, and so much talent that comes out of Philadelphia that I get to work with every day, man. And some of the runs that I had, I didn't even know guys who played in the runs this summer, man, who they were, and these guys is legends in Philadelphia, unbeknownst to me. But give me a 7, man. Come on, man. I don't care.
I got 7 for you. I got 7 for you. If I'm gonna have
it gotta be in no order neither. Just
for sure. I'm gonna give you positions. I'm gonna give you positions, a little position list. I'm gonna mix it up.
Got you.
If it's Philly, you know, it gotta be a team built on, you know, that heart, that grit, that toughness. Yeah. You know, you gotta start with that point guard position. So I'm definitely gonna put my boy there. I'm gonna put Lowry at that spot.
Okay.
I don't know too many. I don't know how many games I'm gonna lose if I got him leaving. I'm gonna take
champ.
Absolutely. I'm gonna take Kyle. I'm gonna take Al Williams as my 2.
Okay.
You know, just
on GP. You got the little Villanova backcourt right there.
I'm gonna go Villanova backcourt. 2 Toronto legends. 2 Toronto legends. 2 pros. I'm gonna take them 2. I'm gonna go at the 3. I'm gonna go with the home team. I'm taking Reggie Retton for sure.
Okay.
Just high IQ.
Villanova, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yeah.
You a Wildcat right now. Okay.
Man, listen. You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Facts. I got it. Love it. Okay.
I'm gonna take those 3. And no disrespect here. I'm not putting Kobe on this list. You know, rest in peace to the legend. But you know,
I got you.
Just thinking Philly guys. I watch.
At
my 4, I'm going Sad Eye.
Okay.
The one of the best players that never played professional ever. However you want it, 35, triple team, double team. I'm not passing. It don't matter. We can bet whatever. I'm gonna get 40 everywhere. You in the league, you gonna get 42. Like you know, it don't matter. Sad Eye was that guy.
Got you.
I'm gonna go Sad Eye, and I'm gonna go small ball with a stretch 4 at my 5. I'm going Sheed. I'm going Sheed at the 5. Toughness, heart. Shoot
ball
the
don't
triple.
lie.
Shoot the triple. Ball don't lie. Gratz guy, North Philly guy. So that's my 5. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. One of my favorite guards growing up that I watched, that I love, like, and people don't talk about him enough now as they should. Mustafa Shakur, Mr. Spin Move himself. How you want it?
Friend Central.
Friend Central. I fell in love. I fell in love with his game at William Penn. Before he was McDonald's. People don't understand. It was 3 point guards in that class. The first one was Staff. Number 2 was Chris Paul. Like, just think about that. Mustafa Shakur as the number 1 point guard. Chris Paul number 2.
Paul was number 2. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. That's crazy.
So I'm gonna take Staff off my bench. Long length, defend, run the team, pass.
Right.
Get it done. And then my 7th man, this one is tough at right here. Because there's so many names I can think of.
Yo, you trying to scramble names all right now, bro. I can see it, man.
My mind going crazy. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go a little. I gotta keep it in North Philly, man. I gotta keep it down there. So I'm gonna go. I don't know which one I can pick here, but I'm gonna go Morris Twins.
You put both of them on it.
Put both my twins. We might be able to keep them in the same jersey, swap them in and out. Right.
They are. Hey, facts, man. I love it, dog. I love it. Man, last question of the night, bro. Last question of the night is your why. Why do you do what you do, bro? You know.
Why I do what I do, man. I do what I do because, you know, growing up where we grow up at, man, it ain't too many of us that get a chance to make it out and be successful at something other than the streets or getting caught up in dumb stuff. And not only is that list short, but then the list of people that make it out that can pull people up. I just felt like, you know, being in my position in sports, like what it did for my life and how, like, I might not have, you know, went on to be an NBA player, NFL, or go overseas, CFL, but I feel like I'm a professional in my route, in my lane as far as athletics, you know, and I felt like there's so many kids out there that think like, man, I'm going to league, and it's like, that ain't realistic, man. It don't happen for everybody. The numbers is real slim. You know, it get harder and harder with every country overseas that bringing in Lucas and all kind of players like that, man. It's a whole, the basketball game is expanded so much. Man, but I wanted to be able to show kids, like, you know, I don't care if you don't score 20 a game, if you're a defensive stopper, use this ball, whatever piece of equipment you use in sports and help it, you know, let it help you get an education. And, you know, that conversation I had with my teacher at Elizabeth City, man, and just sharing that message, like, man, find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life, man. That was my why for, you know, a long time and why I started. And now that we get to this point years later and I'm able and blessed to accomplish the things I've done and work with the players I work with, now it's just like, man, I can't stop. Like, you know, my sons is looking at me every day. You know what I mean? They get a chance to, you know, watch me work up close and personal. I still ride through the neighborhood I grew up in, and, you know, I get kids stopping me like, yo, I saw you on Instagram and I saw you coaching TBT, man. That felt good. Like, when I was younger, the only people that we looked up to in my neighborhood was the dudes that had nice cars, the dudes that had money. We didn't value how important the dudes in the community or the rec centers or the coaches that mentored us was. So it's like, man, that's my reason, you know, why I wake up every day, to be able to set an example for my sons and be able to show the youth that, you know, you can be a star, you can be a professional in your role as long as you find your lane and you stick to it.
Yeah.
You know, so just, you know, reaching back, man, being a mentor, giving back everything that I got from, you know, the guys older than me that I watched and soaked up the game from, man. It's simple for me, man. It's about the kids. It's all about the kids for me.
I love it, bro. Hey, man, it's a pleasure listening to you and learning about your journey, bro, and seeing where your journey and how it's progressed. And I can't wait to see what you do over here at Cristo Rey High School, man. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming on the Purposeful Grind, bro. And, you know, we'll talk soon, fam.
Got you, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
All day, brother.
Be careful. We'll run into each other soon.
All day, every day. We'll
Got you. All right.
Bet.